You know, in a city that's absolutely packed with ancient wonders, there's one sanctuary that seems to, well, it seems to defy gravity itself. This is Cairo's famous Hanging Church, a place literally suspended between heaven and earth. So let's uncover the secrets held within its sacred walls.
You'll find it tucked away in the historic area of Coptic Cairo. And it's not built on solid ground. No, it's built directly on top of the gatehouse of the ancient Babylon fortress. It's this unique position that gives it this incredible, almost floating appearance. And that feeling of mystery? Well, that's exactly what we're going to get into today. This isn't just a building. It's a space where centuries of faith have been woven into every single detail. Some people call places like this a thin place, where the boundary between our world and the spiritual world feels almost non-existent.
Okay, so how exactly did this church get its famous name? And what does it really mean to be suspended in time?
Yeah, its Arabic name, al-Mu'allaka, literally means the suspended. And this isn't just some poetic nickname. It's a literal description of its mind-blowing architecture. Yeah, the main part of the church, what's called the nave, is literally sitting on top of the towers of that ancient Roman fortress gate. So, in a very real way, the congregation is worshiping in a space that's being held up by history itself.
So, 6 meters. What's that all about? Well, over the centuries, the ground level around the fortress has actually risen by about 6 meters. It's mostly from the buildup of, well, life. Rubble, debris, just layers of settlement. What that means is those huge Roman towers are now mostly buried, which makes the fact that the church is hanging even more dramatic when you see it today.
I mean, this place has seen centuries of devotion. While there might have been a church on this very spot as far back as the 3rd century, the building we see today really started taking shape in the 7th. It went through major rebuilds, and eventually it became so important that by the 11th century, it became the official home of the Coptic Pope. But you know, as amazing as the outside is, the real story of this church is what's inside. The moment you step through those doors, you're entering what feels like an arc of faith, where every single detail is just packed with symbolism.
And your journey starts with a climb. Those 29 steps leading up to the entrance, totally intentional. They're meant to represent a spiritual ascent, lifting you out of the noise of the world and into a truly sacred space. Early travelers even called it the staircase church. Once you step inside, the first thing you'll probably do is look up at this magnificent timber roof. It's shaped just like the upside-down hull of an ark, and that is absolutely no accident.
This is a direct reference to Noah's Ark, and it's a powerful symbol of divine salvation and protection. The idea is that when you stand under it, you're meant to feel like you're sheltered in a sanctuary, totally safe from the storms of the outside world. Okay, now if you look towards the front, you'll spot this beautiful marble pulpit, and it stands on a very specific number of pillars, 15. And every single one of those 15 marble columns tells a story. One stands for Jesus, 12 for his apostles, and the last 2 represent John the Baptist and the Virgin Mary. And if you look really closely, you'll see one pillar is black. That's for Judas, the betrayer. Another one is gray, for doubting Thomas. It's literally a story told in stone.
And that story in stone thing? It's everywhere you look in this church. Beyond the amazing architecture, this place is an absolute treasure trove of sacred art, with stories embedded in every icon and carving.
Just think about this. The church is home to about 110 icons. It's like a gallery of Coptic art history, and some of the oldest pieces date all the way back to the 8th century. Incredible.
Now, the centerpiece of this whole collection is the main sanctuary screen. It's called an iconostasis. It's this ornate wall of icons that separates the congregation from the altar. It's from the 13th century, made of ebony carved with ivory. Right in the middle, you have Christ on his throne, and he's surrounded by the Virgin Mary, John the Baptist, the apostles Peter and Paul. It's just stunning. And as you're looking around, you might glance up at that arc-like ceiling again and notice something a little unusual. Ostrich eggs. And their symbolism is really interesting. It's twofold. First, people used to believe ostrich meat didn't decay, so the egg represents eternity. And second, because both the male and female ostrich guard the eggs, they became a symbol of God's constant, watchful care. But here's the thing, the Hanging Church is so much more than just a beautiful museum of sacred art and ancient history. So what is it that makes it a place of continuous, living faith?
And that really brings us to a fundamental question, right? Is this just a relic of the past? The answer is absolutely not. To understand why, you have to look at its deep spiritual roots, which go all the way back to the very beginnings of Christianity in Egypt.
You see, Coptic tradition connects all of Egypt's holy sites back to one incredible story, the journey of the Holy Family when they fled to Egypt to escape King Herod. The belief is that the land itself was made holy by their presence, fulfilling ancient prophecies like this one from the book of Isaiah about an altar rising up in the midst of Egypt.
And for centuries, this church wasn't just a church, it was the very heart of the Coptic Orthodox faith. In the year 1047, the seat of power for the church actually moved from Alexandria to Cairo, and the Hanging Church became the Pope's official residence. It was the spiritual center for millions of Coptic Christians.
But for all of its timeless spiritual meaning, this ancient sanctuary rests on a foundation that is, well, anything but stable.
The threats facing it today are very, very real. Like a lot of Old Cairo, the church is built on centuries of unstable, man-made fill. On top of that, you've got rising groundwater from the modern city's pipes seeping into these ancient foundations, and the entire region is vulnerable to earthquakes.
And look, this isn't just some theory. Back in 1992, a magnitude 5.9 earthquake hit Cairo. It caused major damage to hundreds of historical sites, and that included the Hanging Church itself. It was this jarring reminder of just how fragile this building really is.
So the Hanging Church is this incredible testament to enduring faith, a sanctuary suspended not just over Roman gates, but through time itself. And that leaves us with a really critical question for our generation. When a sanctuary is timeless, but the ground it stands on is not, how do we protect its future?